What if the secret to immortality was poison? Imagine a king so terrified of being assassinated that he drank poison with his breakfast every single day. Sounds like a dark fairy tale, right? But this is the true story of Mithridates VI, an ancient king who turned himself into a human antidote. And it gets even stranger. In the end, this deadly habit worked. Perhaps a little too well. Meet Mithridates VI Eupator, the ruler of Pontus, a kingdom by the Black Sea over 2,000 years ago. History remembers him as the Poison King. Why should you care about a mad king from antiquity? Because Mithridates' obsessive quest to cheat death holds a mirror to our own fears and innovations. His tale shows how far someone will go to conquer fear, and how that desperate ingenuity can echo even in modern science. Ever heard of building up a tolerance or Mithridatism? That's his legacy. By understanding his story, you'll not only uncover one of history's most bizarre dramas, but also gain a new appreciation for the lengths humans can go to survive. This chilling saga is more than just history. It's a lesson in determination and paranoia that might just make you look at the idea of immunity in a whole new light. So, are you ready for a dark journey into the past? Grab a seat, and maybe avoid any snacks for this one. The untold story of Mithridates VI, the king who dined on death to feel alive, will leave you speechless. Our story begins in a lavish royal banquet hall in 120 BC. The air is thick with the scent of wine and roasted meat. King Mithridates V, the father of our protagonist, is raising a golden goblet in toast. Moments later, he collapses, writhing in agony. His veins burn with an unseen fire. Within minutes, the mighty king is dead, poisoned at his own feast. In the chaos that follows, whispers point to a culprit. Queen Laodice, his wife, might have orchestrated the assassination to seize power. Little Mithridates VI, just a 14-year-old prince, watches his father's horrific end in horror. The lesson is seared into his mind. Death can lurk in the very wine you drink. Now the young prince is in danger. If his mother truly murdered the king, what's stopping her from poisoning him too, to tighten her grip on the throne? Fear grips Mithridates' heart. What do you do when you suspect your own mother wants you dead? The teenage prince chooses to disappear. He flees into the wild, abandoning the palace's safety for the forests and mountains of his kingdom. There, in exile, a deadly obsession is born. While roaming the wilderness, Mithridates learns from nature's pharmacy. He studies toxic plants, venomous snakes, and deadly herbs. Each day, he braves a little bit of poison, ingesting just enough to survive, training his body like a soldier against the onslaught of toxins. Night after night under the stars, he envisions a bold plan. He will become immune to death itself, at least the kind that comes in a cup or on the tip of a dagger. It's a desperate, ingenious form of self-defense. For years, Mithridates lives like this, micro-dosing on poisons in secret, allowing his body to build up resistance. Drop by drop, dose by dose, he transforms his very blood into an antidote. By the time he returns to his kingdom a few years later, Mithridates VI is no longer a vulnerable boy. He's a hardened young man with immunity running through his veins and revenge burning in his heart. He has good reason to seek vengeance. Back home, Queen Laodice, his mother, has been ruling as regent, and, according to rumors, she hasn't given up her lethal plotting. But Mithridates is ready. In a swift coup, he seizes the throne. Now he's the king, and he wastes no time securing his power. The first targets of his wrath, his own family. Mithridates imprisons his mother in a dungeon, where she soon dies under mysterious circumstances. He murders his younger brother, eliminating any rivalry for the crown. and even marries his own sister, Princess Laodice, named after their mother, to keep his bloodline pure and his claim uncontested. Dark? Absolutely. But in the ruthless world of ancient royalty, it's just another Tuesday. The new king Mithridates VI has shed any innocence he had left. He has become cold, calculating, and utterly unafraid of poison. In fact, poison has become his weapon of choice. He continues the regimen he started in the wild. Each day, he gulps down a carefully prepared cocktail of toxins. Arsenic, belladonna, hemlock, you name it. He's probably tasted it. Mixed with honey and herbs, dozens of ingredients swirling in a secret elixir, Mithridates' daily dose is designed to do what no bodyguard or food taster could: make him untouchable. Assassins might try to slip venom in his meal or wine, but the king just licks his lips and carries on. To him, poison is now breakfast. With his personal security handled in such a bizarre fashion, Mithridates turns his ambitions outward. It's the late 2nd century BC, and the Roman Republic is expanding its empire hungrily. Pontus, Mithridates' kingdom, stands in Rome's path in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Mithridates VI, now in his prime, hates Rome with a passion. He sees the Romans as tyrants, colonizers who oppress his people and covet his lands. And he's not alone. Many in the region share his sentiment. The Poison King decides to channel his cunning into becoming Rome's worst nightmare. But he doesn't just wage war with swords and spears. Mithridates fights with terror and toxins. In 88 BC, he hatches a plot so horrifying that it still shocks historians. In secret, Mithridates coordinates with local allies across Asia Minor for a massive, coordinated massacre. One chilling spring night at Mithridates' signal, tens of thousands of Romans and Italians living in the cities of his realm are slaughtered in cold blood. It's a bloodbath on an unprecedented scale, often called the Asiatic Vespers. In city after city, ordinary men and women suddenly turn into executioners of their Roman neighbors. The methods of killing are as gruesome as they are varied. In one city, panicked Roman families flee into a temple, believing the gods will protect them, but angry mobs storm in and shoot them down with arrows amidst the sacred altars. In another, Romans are chased into the sea and drowned, their bodies washing ashore with the tide. In a particularly horrific locale, a mob of former slaves rounds up every Roman in the town, beginning a systematic slaughter. They start with the children, right in front of their parents' eyes, then the mothers, and finally the fathers, staining the streets with innocent blood. In one city, hired killers herd the Roman residents into a great hall and paint the walls with their blood, hacking them to pieces in a frenzy of vengeance. By the time dawn breaks, an estimated 80,000 men, women, and children lie dead. The scale of terror is almost unimaginable, an act of genocidal rage that leaves the ancient world reeling. Mithridates has sent a clear message to Rome. No one is safe from the Poison King's wrath. For a moment, Mithridates stands triumphant. Across the region, he's hailed as a liberator from Roman tyranny. Kingdoms and cities flock to his side. Even mighty Athens cheers him as a hero. Rome, thrown into chaos by this massive attack, struggles to respond immediately. They're bogged down by their own civil strife and wars at home. Mithridates seems unstoppable, a phantom menace who kills from the shadows and laughs in the face of lethal danger. He even has science, or rather, early toxicology, on his side. By now, legend says he has perfected his universal antidote, a concoction called Mithridatium. Every day, he takes a vial of this antidote like clockwork. It's said to contain over 50 ingredients, from ground herbs and opium to trace venoms, and even the blood of ducks that fed on poisonous plants. a dose of everything toxic, mixed together as the ultimate protection. With this potion coursing through him, Mithridates walks unafraid through a world of poison. Attempted assassination plots become almost comical when your victim sniffs the poison, shrugs, and drinks it anyway with a grin. Indeed, at royal feasts, Mithridates turns his dread into a grotesque party trick. Picture a grand banquet in the king's palace, tables overflowing with exotic foods, wine flowing freely, music and laughter echoing in the halls. Then, at the height of the revelry, the mood shifts. Guards drag in a condemned prisoner, a traitor or enemy soldier. Before the assembled guests, a cup of deadly poison is forced down the wretch's throat. The room falls silent as the victim convulses and collapses, foam on his lips, life snuffed out in minutes. Guests recoil in horror. And that's when Mithridates makes his move. With a theatrical flourish, the king takes the very same poison that just killed a man, pours it into his own goblet, and drinks it in one gulp. Gasps fill the hall. Surely no one could survive that. Mithridates flashes a wicked smile and continues dining as if nothing happened. The poison doesn't even make him break a sweat. His guests stare in pale-faced awe and dread. They've just witnessed the impossible. By toying with death in front of their eyes, Mithridates cements his legend. He is the king who cannot be killed by poison. To some, this makes him nearly immortal, protected by dark arts and clever science. To others, it makes him a monster who has sacrificed his own humanity on an altar of paranoia. Mithridates' war against Rome rages on, and he scores some victories through sheer boldness and cunning. He even resorts to biological warfare to defend his kingdom. At one point, as Roman legions march through the mountains, Mithridates springs a sweet trap. His soldiers deliberately leave behind combs of locally harvested mad honey, a honey made from toxic rhododendron nectar. Lured by the golden treat, the Roman troops gobble it up, unsuspecting. Hours later, those soldiers are retching, hallucinating, and collapsing on the roadside as the poisoned honey turns their bodies against them. In their delirium, Mithridates' forces strike, slaughtering them with ease. It's a victory as bizarre as it is brutal, an entire battalion defeated by honey. The Poison King will weaponize anything, from the tip of an arrow to the contents of a beehive. For years, Mithridates VI seemed to lead a charmed life, drenched in blood, but untouched by the many poisons that felled his enemies. He became a father to several children and took on allies, even marrying off a daughter to form a political bond with the powerful King Tigranes of Armenia. His subjects saw him as both a protector and a fearsome avenger. His enemies saw him as a specter, as if black magic ran through his veins. Rome threw army after army at him in what came to be known as the Mithridatic Wars. He fought Roman generals like Sulla, Lucullus, and finally Pompey the Great. And while Mithridates was a brilliant and resourceful leader, the might of Rome slowly began to turn the tide. His allies were crushed, his armies whittled down by relentless campaigns. The Romans were determined to punish the Poison King for his atrocities. Bit by bit, they pushed him back toward the Black Sea, toward the very fringes of his once grand kingdom. The end, when it came, did not come from a Roman sword at all, but from within. By 63 BC, after decades of war, King Mithridates VI is an old man, in his 60s, which was ancient by classical standards, and finds himself cornered in his own palace in the Crimean Peninsula. His grand dreams of conquering Rome have crumbled to dust. His army is spent, his allies scattered. Outside, the city is seething with revolt. In a cruel twist, it's his own son, Prince Pharnaces, who leads the rebellion against him. The people have had enough of endless wars and death. The The Romans, now allied with Pharnaces, watch from a distance, content to let father and son tear each other apart. Mithridates, the once invincible Poison King, is now a lonely old man trapped by enemies on all sides, even inside his own family. As the mob closes in and betrayal hangs thick in the air, Mithridates makes one final, fateful decision. He will not be taken alive to be paraded in Rome's triumphs. He's seen what happened to other kings defeated by Rome. Humiliation, torture, a public strangling in the Forum. No, not for him. If death has come, he'll meet it on his own terms. So Mithridates barricades himself in the highest room of his tower, with his two youngest daughters and his most loyal bodyguard. The city outside is roaring for blood. There's no time to waste. From the folds of his robe, the old king produces a vial of fast-acting poison, perhaps arsenic, perhaps a lethal herb concoction, the very kind he's imbibed for years. Gently, he passes the cup to his terrified daughters. Can you imagine the scene? The princesses, scarcely more than girls, drink the poison as their father assures them it will spare them a worse fate at the hands of their enemies. Their eyes close. They slump to the floor, lifeless. It's a heartbreaking and ghastly mercy-killing. Now Mithridates raises the poisoned cup to his own lips. This is the moment his entire life has been leading up to. He swallows the poison dose, enough to kill 10 men. He waits and waits. Outside, shouts of angry soldiers grow louder. Inside, the king's heart pounds not from venom but from panic. Why is he still alive? Cold sweat beads on Mithridates' brow. His vision blurs but does not darken. Any ordinary man would be dead by now, yet he remains standing. In a final cruel irony of fate, Mithridates VI realizes the terrible truth. The poison isn't killing him. The very immunity he so carefully cultivated, his life's achievement, has robbed him of a quick death. After years of dosing himself against every toxin imaginable, the Poison King has made himself nearly unpoisonable, even when he wants to die. Imagine the dread of that moment. Outside, the vengeful crowd bangs on the doors. Inside, the aging king feels only a mild sickness in his stomach where he had hoped for eternal rest. His immortality has become a trap. So how do you kill a man who cannot be killed by poison? Mithridates turns to his last loyal companion, the bodyguard who has stood by through all the carnage. With enemies at the door and no options left, the proud king begs for the sword. He orders his guard to do the unthinkable, end his life by force. The loyal guard hesitates, tears in his eyes, but obeys. A sword is drawn. In one swift, brutal motion, stab. Mithridates VI, the Poison King, is run through. The king who cheated death for so long finally collapses beside the bodies of his daughters, blood staining the stone floor. As the door crashes open, the mob sees a gruesome tableau. Their once feared ruler lying in a scarlet pool, slain not by their hand, but by his own design. Thus ends the life of one of history's most paradoxical figures. Mithridates VI died not by poison, the very thing he had feared above all, but by the blade, by human betrayal, by the fallout of his own obsession. In the aftermath, his body was delivered to the Roman general Pompey as a trophy. One can only imagine Pompey's astonishment and perhaps dark amusement at the story. The great Poison King, undone by his immunity. It's said that when the Romans learned of Mithridates' daily poison regimen, they were in awe. In fact, they desperately searched for his famed Mithridatium antidote recipe. Some Roman emperors, terrified of being poisoned themselves, even tried to replicate Mithridates' antidote and took small doses of poison just like he did, hoping to become untouchable, just as he had nearly done. irony doesn't get more profound than that. Mithridates VI was a man who turned fear into power, then let that power consume him. His story is dark, suspenseful, and tragically human. He wanted to live forever, or at least to never be killed by his enemies' tricks. In the end, he achieved one part of that dream. No poison could kill him, but at a tremendous cost. His paranoia drove him to unspeakable acts, murdering family, massacring tens of thousands, and warping his own body with toxins. Yet, from this macabre tale comes an unexpected legacy. Today, the practice of gradually building tolerance to a toxin is known as Mithridatism, bearing the Poison King's name. His life and death taught the world about immunity in a roundabout way. It's a cautionary tale of how knowledge can be a double-edged sword. It can save you, and it can curse you. If this untold story sent chills down your spine and made you marvel at the extremes of history, then our mission is accomplished. Mithridates VI sought immortality and instead found infamy. But his legend lives on, warning us of the dangers of obsession and the dark allure of power. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's shadows, don't forget to hit that like button to support the channel. Subscribe for more fascinating and eerie tales from the past, and drop a comment below. What do you think about the Poison King's strategy? Could you ever imagine taking poison daily? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, stay curious, stay safe, and join us in the next video for another unbelievable true story.